Hey y'all, this is Dr. Chris Nelson, and today I want to talk to you about a really cool patient, Mr. R. Now, Mr. R had his teeth done in Mexico, and we were going to be his home base for servicing and taking care of the teeth. And over time, we ended up working together and moving forward to a new reality. And the case is crazy. I don't think I'll encounter another case exactly like this for a long time. And the techniques that we use to solve the problems are interesting enough that I wanted to share it with you all and also record a video. So here it is, the curious case of Mr. R and his teeth from Mexico. Here we go. Now, one thing I definitely want to say off the top is there are fantastic dentists all over the world, and the dentistry that I'm talking about, I don't pass a lot of judgment on it. It's just that, I was taught different ways of solving problems. And for Mr. R, like his teeth, he was really happy with them until he started getting issues with them. So I don't want you to translate because this dentistry was done in Mexico that it's bad. That's not the case. In fact, I think the place that did it, they probably have a lot of success with their patients. It's just for Mr. R, these particular teeth that he had were not what he needed. So for this particular case, I was happy to be the home base for our patient, but I also had an upfront conversation with him saying, like, look, I might have to do a lot of extra work for you, and I don't necessarily know what parts and pieces are. And he even came to me with his own parts and pieces. He said, well, I got you covered, doc. I have the parts and pieces. I bought extra ones from the clinic, and so he would bring in extra screws, implant driver, like all this stuff, which was cool. That helped us, but it still is a challenge to be working on work where you can't call the lab and say, hey, what part is this? You can't talk to the surgeon that placed the implants, that sort of thing. Mr. R had implant zirconia teeth, all on X or all on 4. He had an all on X or an all on 4 placed in Mexico, and they're monolithic zirconia with some stained porcelain up at the gum lines. And they are bright white. Now, he has told me he likes bright white teeth, and he likes the straight teeth, but these are very white. They don't look like they're layered porcelain. It just looks like they were milled out of a block of zirconia in the tooth shape, and they're lined up nice and straight, and they don't look super duper natural in my opinion, and it's a look that some people are okay with, and I have other videos talking about how I like a little bit more of a natural look in terms of the shade and also the arrangement of the teeth. So they were very bright white. And then the other thing that was interesting is the teeth had a little bit of an unusual design. So we met, we looked at things. He said, I think I'm having issues with this implant. I want you to take them out, and I want to go to your implant specialist and have the implant specialist evaluate the teeth, their implants, and then clean them, inspect them, all that. So we did that, and what we found was these teeth were made with this really unusual design where the implants are placed and then there's no multi-unit abutment. And what is a multi-unit abutment? I'm glad you asked. So this is a dental implant. It's not a real, it's a model, right? So we have a dental implant here. And then a lot of times when you get a dental implant, you'll have something called a cover screw placed. So the cover screw is going to go on top, and you're going to leave the surgeon with a implant with a cover screw like so, okay? Now, and what if this implant was off angle like this? So it's like angled because the bone is angled, and we want the crown to be straight, but the implant has to be angled. Well, there's something called a multi-unit abutment. Also, what if the implant's buried really deep in the tissue, which is almost more important for this case, as you'll see in a second. So the implant's angled, multi-unit abutment can go in there and do an angle correction. Okay, so we have an angle correction, and now we're closer to the right angle that we want. The implant's like this, multi-unit abutment corrects the angle. The other part is the multi-unit abutment brings the implant, the tissue height up higher. So this implant was buried in the bone, let's say, and now this is up higher so that when it sticks out of the gums, it just looks like that. So this particular case, what you'll see is for the top teeth, there were not any multi-unit abutments used. The implants were buried really deep, and then the appliance, somehow they got, the appliance, the way they made it, it extends way down deep into the implants, and then also the bond between there's these little titanium cylinders, and the bond between the titanium and the zirconia was bad. And so if you look here, you'll see that like there was little gaps all over the place. It just wasn't good. So I don't like the design, and I also didn't like the gaps and just the way it was assembled. It wasn't great. And again, I don't know where this clinic is. I couldn't call them on the phone and talk to them. Mr. R was just kind of like, no, we're moving on. So anyways, it actually started falling apart, and I actually had to kind of like repair it a little bit. So we took off the teeth, we checked everything out, and we sent him over to our specialist. In this case, it was Team Perio, and Team Perio went ahead and looked and indeed found that one of his implants was failing. So the implant was bad, and what we decided to do is we actually cut off one of those extensions. We cut it off, I repaired it, did like a composite thing, and then we were able to have the implant removed, and we reattached the teeth, and he had one less implant. Now, fortunately, he had lots of implants on his top appliance. I think he had at least 6 or maybe even 7. So he had a lot of implants, so it was okay. Air quotes okay, right? But we made it work. So fast forward, he went back to Mexico and said, hey, I want you guys to fix this, and kind of probably took our report that we generate for our patients, like a PowerPoint. I have some videos on that. So we have these very comprehensive reports. He probably took that with him and just said, hey, this is what's going on. This is what my dentist in California says. What should they do? So they started fixing the appliance, and they actually installed the multi-unit abutment. So they got rid of the zirconia teeth, and then they ordered the appropriate multi-unit abutments and installed those on top of the implants. They were actually Nobel brand, which was good. And then they were in the process of making him new teeth. And I think they were going to make him new zirconia teeth. So he came back to our office with PMMA teeth, which are just like a plastic version of the teeth. And those were sitting on the multi-unit abutments. Okay, great. So we were planning on helping him with that. And he kind of said, I think I'm just going to have you guys finish these and do it the right way. Well, in the meantime, a few more months went by, and all of a sudden we get a call, and he's like, hey, my teeth are breaking. So these PMMA plastic teeth, they're not designed to be worn forever, and he started to get fractures in them. So we had to sit down and have a tough conversation about, hey, I can't even get a really good bite at this point. Your teeth are falling apart. If I unscrew the PMMAs, they will not be able to be put back in, and we didn't have any temporary dentures because I didn't start the case. We didn't have temporary dentures for him to wear. So what the heck did we do? Well, we kind of had to shift our thinking, and we actually started talking together, and I asked him, do you really want these things to be permanent? Because he was having a hard time cleaning under them, and that's a big issue for permanent all-on-X teeth, and we've done plenty of them, but it's got to be the right patient that can clean under there and take care of them really, really well. So for him, we ended up talking about, hey, would you be open to converting these to snap in and snap out appliances? So after some conversation, we decided that's what we would do. So we did this procedure where we essentially treated his teeth as if they were natural teeth. We took impressions of them and did our workflow using our fantastic lab in Sacramento. And we were able to fabricate immediate dentures and then in the assumption that we were going to take these PMMA plastic teeth out and convert the multi-unit abutments with another piece to locators. So there's a company we work with a lot, Zest. There's a bunch of companies that sell locator attachments, but for this particular case, I ordered So we have our implant, right? And then and then we already had the multi-units, and fortunately there are Nobel multi-units, which are compatible with a Zest multi-unit abutment locator adapter. So there's 2 more pieces that we had to order to put on top. Now, some of you might say, well, why didn't you just get the locator attachments to go straight on the implants? And that's because some of the implants were like extreme angles. And so we wanted to utilize the multi-units, and they were relatively new. The threads on them were good. So there are some compromises in that, but we felt comfortable moving forward with that. So we ended up making the immediate dentures. We had holes in them reserved for the locator parts, and then we did this crazy conversion where we attached the locator parts into the temporary dentures, and then we also we finally removed the upper appliance and modified the upper denture. We drilled the holes in it using indicator techniques, which I'll show some pictures here. And then it was crazy. We had to estimate a lot, but we got everything sorted out, and we were able to even remove the palate for him because that's what he was used to. So now he has these temporary dentures attached with locators, and the locators are on the multi-units and the multi-units are on the implants. And we saw him recently, and Mr. R is really happy with his temporary dentures with the locators. Now, what do we do next? Because we've moved him away from the permanent appliances, and now it's a temporary snap-in appliance. So our plan is for him to wear these for a period of 2 to 6 months. I don't want to go a lot more than 6 months, maybe 8 months, maybe up to a year, but eventually he's going to break the temporary dentures because I removed the palate and drilled a bunch of holes in them. So, and he's pretty hard on things, so we're saying we want 2 to 6, maybe 8 months, maybe even 12, wearing the temporary dentures, and then we are either going to digitally duplicate them and add some titanium hardware and like kind of reinforce the duplicate, so to make a really durable second product, or we're going to make another product that has a cast metal framework. So either way, we're making new teeth. He also wants me to add the teeth as ceramic or porcelain. So we have some choices that we're going to make, but for now he's enjoying being able to take these appliances out and clean them and clean his implants and snap them back in. So, overall, this is a really interesting case. The thing that's really crazy about it is just how we had to convert the upper, like as an immediate, and snap them into the locators. And you might think, well, that's not that big of a deal, but I couldn't unscrew his upper PMMA because if I took it apart, just like on the lower, I couldn't put it back together. It was cracked and broken in a million pieces, and I didn't want him to walk around, and he did not want to walk around with no teeth at all. So we had to do it, pretend it was immediate denture, and it was really tricky. And great job to our lab down in Sacramento. They did a great job making the upper denture so that it would be like, it was really close, and we had to work on it for a couple hours to get everything sorted out, but it worked really well. So to be continued on this case. I think I'll do a follow-up video in the future. So it is the day before the election, November 2024, and you'll have to check back and see if we do a follow-up. Okay, one other thing. If you watched our Halloween video on our dentist's favorite candy, Dr. Blasingame showed up. He's the Team Perio guy, right? And he said his favorite candy was orange peanut M&Ms because they're the best. Well, I went ahead and ordered a couple bags of orange peanut M&Ms. I put our sticker on them. So M&Ms, if you want to reach out, I'd be happy to do a little collaboration. I also have M&Ms. That's just because it's a cool poster. I'll make a video about why that's a cool poster. That's an original Cinemark poster. So I'm gonna give these to Dr. Blasingame. He doesn't know about it yet, but that's fun. Anyways, I hope everyone out in the internet land is doing okay, having fun, and thank you for watching. And we are based in Redding, California. If you didn't know, so if you're gonna comment, you're like, I'd like to come see you. It's up, Northern California. We do have a local small airport if you want to fly in. But yeah, start with sending us an email through our website or doing some comments, and I've been having a good time answering those comments. Okay, there we go. Hope you have a great day. Take care.